So first episode, we're going to do Ninja Turtles, the original movie, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. 1990.
1990. I thought it was earlier than that. But yeah, 1990.
I thought it was. I looked it up. It is 1990.
1990.
I swore it was like 88 or 89, but
I thought so too.
It's 1990.
And then at the beginning, I noticed that they said, did you get to rewatch the movie recently?
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, I watched it Saturday, I think. So.
Did you? Yeah, that's why I watched it. So did you notice at the beginning it said like the Ninja Turtles were created in 1984, I think is what they said?
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Yeah. Which I thought was funny because so much stuff came out in 1984 that's like that's ingrained in our childhood. I mean, you got like Ghostbusters and I think
Raiders of the Lost. Was Raiders of the Lost Ark 84? No, that was 80. Maybe that was 82.
Oh, I don't know.
I can't remember.
I feel like there's a lot, and I'm rambling now trying to think of what they are, but like Beverly Hills Cop, I think is what I was trying to think of, which I may be wrong on that one.
I almost want to say Gremlins came out that year too. I don't know. We're probably just like naming all these videos. Did it really? Okay.
Yeah.
So we're probably naming all these movies that are like we're just completely wrong. Someone's listening to this being like, "You guys are idiots. No! This is not when this came out."
Karate Kid. I don't know.
Oh yes.
What movie were we doing? Oh yeah, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Yeah.
All right. Shoot. Okay, so you watched it recently. I watched it recently, so it's fresh on our mind. Did you watch it now with your daughter?
Yes,
I know she's a big fan.
Yeah, Harper loves it.
She had seen it before?
She had not seen it before. I got her turned on to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles from Mutant Mayhem that came out.
Oh, that's such a good one.
Over the summer. It was so good. It was so good. And she started. We didn't watch that. What's that?
I said we might have to make that an exception episode.
Yes. And so I took her to see that because I was wanting to see it. I'm like, I got to see the new Turtles movie. And why not just take one of the kids, So, but yeah, then she really got into it and she started watching the cartoons and just all this stuff. But she'd never watched the original 1990 movie. And I think it was on HBO Max or something like that for a while. And I meant to watch it with her and we just, stuff would come up. We just never got around to sitting down doing it. And then we went to watch it last weekend and they took it off. It's not there anymore. Which I bet now that like we're recording this, it's probably back on there now. It's going to make a liar. Yeah. But so I had to end up getting on Amazon Prime and renting it for like $3.99 because so like we were saying in episode 0, I've got the VHSs that we found at Dad's house, but I don't have a VCR, so I had no way to really play those here. So so we ended up renting it, and we watched it, and I couldn't tell for a while whether she was liking it or not. But then, I don't know, she started laughing at certain scenes, and it's escaping me now which one. But, she said after we finished it up, I said, "Did you like that?" She's like, "Oh, I really liked it." So I was like, yeah good.
Jim Henson, how can you not?
Yes. But that was the first time I'd seen it since – sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No.
First time I had watched it since I bet I was like 10 or 11 was the last time that those VHSs were played. Yeah. It had been a long time, but I used to watch that like 2 or 3 times a week. I remember.
Oh yeah. They wore that VHS out, I'm sure.
Oh yes.
It may not work now.
It may not. No.
I think I watched it, we watched it as kids growing up, but I don't think I'd watched it since I was maybe 13 at the latest. And then I watched it again. I think Taylor was whenever the Nickelodeon redid the cartoon in like 2011, 2012, something like that. That was like Taylor got really into that one. It was a great cartoon. It got me back into the Turtles. Yeah. And so I put on the old movie and we watched the original one. And I hadn't watched it again until more recently. I think it was a few years back. Bruce got into Ninja Turtles. Like, he had his kick on it. Like, it seems like right around like 3 or 4, kids just like, it's just the perfect, like, it just gets them. It like earworms them or something. They get like really into Ninja Turtles for a hot minute. And then, he was really into it. So we watched all the first 3, or the original 3. And then again, when we bought this new house a couple years ago, it's got the media room, and so we were hitting the media room like every other day watching a new movie, or an old movie rather. And I remember it was the summer of 2001. You know, like, we're all semi-locked down still with COVID, and so me and Bruce spent the whole summer and we watched like all the Avengers movies, a bunch of the DC movies, and we watched the original Ninja Turtles again, and the Michael Bay remakes, and we watched all of them except for the animated one. Yeah. So yeah, like, speaking of the Michael Bay remakes, you know, like that original movie, that was practical. Those were practical suits. Those were Jim Henson suits. I remember watching some of I think it was Discovery Channel, or somebody had like a show called like Behind the Magic or something like that, and it was all about like movie magic and like how they do things in movies. And they talked about the Jim Henson production set and like making the lips move and the eyeballs move, and they had like 4 guys working like different joysticks to control just like the head of one of the Ninja Turtles. It was insane, but it looked fantastic. Right? Yeah, it looked amazing. But then like Michael Bay comes along and he makes them out of CGI. I mean, do you think if they remade...
They had like noses too, didn't they?
Yeah, they had
Michael
noses.
Bay, it was so weird. I'm like, this.
Yeah, they were
what
they
do
off,
to my boys? Like,
yeah. So like, they didn't do it practically. Do you think they could come back and do this movie again practically now and it would look as good, or would it just look cheesy and off, or would they just go CG because it's cheaper?
I don't know. I mean, I would.
I guess the better question is: would you want to see it done practically?
Yeah,
if they do it again live action.
I don't know. Like, honestly, now that they've done it, like the way they did the art style with Mutant Mayhem.
Oh yeah.
I would rather see them continue that and just leave the
live action like it is.
The live action one alone. Yeah. You know. Yeah. Because I think it's one of those things, like, we think like, oh yeah, I'd really like to see them redo this now with better practical effects. Yeah. You know, I guess maybe if they got like Christopher Nolan to direct it or something like that, you know, but you know, I think that's one of those things, like, you wish, it's like with a lot of other things, like you wish for more and then you get more and you're like, oh, this isn't really what I wanted.
No. Yeah.
So,
yeah. But I mean, I think maybe that might the practicality of it and the grittiness of it, I think, is also part of the magic of this movie. Because this movie was dark. It was kind of gritty. It was, but it had humor and it had heart. I mean, it was just, it was all over the place.
Something that I noticed in this, and it's not necessarily like, you know, speaking to technical things about how the movie was made, but did you notice Sam Rockwell's in this movie?
Yes. I had heard it before, but I watched it and I saw it and I was like, oh yeah, that's right. He was in this movie.
Yes. And I'm like, is that Punk? That's Sam Rockwell. I had no idea. So I looked him up because I'm like, what was his name? They didn't give him a name. It's Head Thug.
Head Thug.
Head Thug. And I'm like, you know what? Good for him. Get to be Head Thug in this movie. Yeah. And then
speaking of thugs, they got that one guy, the Danny, right? Like,
yes.
Now tell me, my theory, because I haven't looked any of this up, so this is completely just, you know, I'm speaking out of turn here, if it will, but on his back it said Sid. Do you think he's the inspiration for Sid in Toy Story?
Oh, I don't know.
I had this conversation with my son. I think he was.
I do know his shirt. At the front of it was Sid Vicious.
Oh, was that what it was?
Yes,
okay.
Gosh, somebody's gonna be listening to this and gonna be hating me if I get this
Sex
wrong.
Pistols,
I was not into Sex Pistols. Yes, yeah. I'm not a huge punk rock guy, but I'm pretty confident that was Sex Pistols. But yeah, so I'm sure that's why it said Sid on the back.
That's why it said Sid. Well, yeah, but I mean, you know, that Toy Story came out after.
Yes, you know what? I'm gonna say that's a possibility. Why not?
I think this happened.
You know.
But yeah, like speaking of it, so it's so gritty and it's so dirty,
Yep.
and it's practical, and I think that's part of the what made this movie really great is that it felt real. Like the streets were dirty, the sewer was dirty. It wasn't.
Everything
it
was
felt like
dirty
a
in
real
this
place.
movie.
It did, but nobody was dirty.
No, but I'm like looking at these. I mean, these people are like they're walking the streets of New York. These dirty streets. They're dark. There's not a street light in sight anywhere.
No.
Like the guy that's delivering them pizza, you know, and he
He slid down the grate sideways. How did that pizza not come out in a big pile?
Destroyed now.
Did they? Was there? I can't remember. Was there a scene in New York that was during the day? I think it was all at night, wasn't it?
Not in the city, I don't think.
And the farm was daytime.
What's that?
When I went to the farm, that was daytime,
Yes,
but not in the city. I don't think they had any daytime.
I think it was.
I bet that was by design.
Yeah, I'm sure it was.
Give that nice New York feel, because New York feels like New York at night.
Yes, yeah. So yeah, I had noticed like another casting thing in there too. I was looking through the credits on there as it was rolling, and Corey Feldman did Donatello. I had no idea.
I mean, like the moment he opened his mouth, I heard that voice, and I was like, "Oh, that's Corey Feldman. That's right. He was in this movie." And I want to say that he was pulled in to do that part after they made the movie. Like they had somebody else that read the lines already and that was already going to be doing the voice. And then they pulled him in because of his name, because at the time, this is 1990, you know, he's really...
Oh, he's huge.
He was huge. You know, Corey Feldman, let's see here. This is going to take me a second. I'm gonna do a little...
It's okay.
Little
you got Lost
research.
Boys, Goonies...
Yeah.
I mean, I know I'm missing a ton. There was a ton of movies that he was.
Sorry, I typed slow.
That's all right. Stand By Me.
So, yeah. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which he was. Oh wow! Here's an interesting fact. He was in another Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles project. He was in the cartoon from. It was 2013 to 2017. He was in the cartoon as Slash, the voice of Slash.
Oh, okay.
So interesting. So he came back around, did some more Ninja Turtle in there. Okay. But let's see here. 1990. God, he's got a lot of credits. So yeah, he came in, he did Ninja Turtles. He was just coming off of Dream a Little Dream. That's a big one for him. Lost Boys. Yeah, that's a big one for him. Stand By Me. Yeah, so Goonies, that was 1985. So yeah, they were probably trying to, capitalize on all that Corey Feldman magic there. I think he was in Lethal Weapon 1. I didn't know he was in Lethal Weapon 1.
No way. Huh.
Oh no, Loaded Weapon. Sorry.
Loaded. Oh, okay.
Loaded Weapon.
Yeah.
That might go on there.
Not quite the same. I do remember that movie though. I do remember Loaded Weapon.
Yes. Oh yeah. Let me get us. Let's get back on track here. Is it comic? Is the movie comic accurate? Did you ever read the comics?
So I've only read the first volume. I've got a hardbound edition of the first volume. It's all in black and white. Like you can't tell other than their weapons who the turtles are.
Who's who? Yeah. I think you just passed me in turtle fandom because I have not read any of the original comics. I've read recent ones, but I haven't read the original ones.
I think once they colored them, I think that they still were hard to tell apart because I think they just all wore red.
Yeah, they just had the red bandana.
And then they eventually, I want to say, gosh, did this come out? What came out? Was it this or the cartoon that came out first?
I think the cartoon might have come out first.
Okay.
Here.
If that's the case, they probably changed or colored their bandanas.
Yeah, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was 1987.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sure they colored their bandanas then at that point just so the kids could tell them apart. I could be wrong on that.
Yeah, I remember that is true. I remember seeing that on that. You ever watch that Netflix show? What was it called again? They did a series of like different the toys that
Oh,
made
the
us.
toys
And
that
they did,
made us.
yeah, the shows that made us and the movies that made us. I think I don't know if they did the shows that made us, but yeah, they talked about that, about how whenever they came out with the cartoon series, they put the different colors on them so that kids
Yeah.
could easily identify them, and it was for marketing purposes, obviously, because
Yeah.
you're going to sell more merchandise if you got multiple colors.
Sure.
Yeah, so you've read the original comics. I have not. How comic accurate would you say this is to the original comics? How well did they treat the source material?
I don't quite remember, to be honest with you. It's been a while since I've read them, but I do remember. I don't remember Shredder showing up in that first volume. If he did, it was like he wasn't like a huge villain, if I remember right. At first, I remember them doing like some time travel and stuff like that, and
you might have just sold me. I might have to go back and read the originals.
Yeah. You need to go back and read them, and I need to go back and read them now too. But
Yeah.
I don't remember Shredder being as big as he was. Now I may reread him and be like, why did I think that? But I don't remember him being as big of a villain. Yeah, I don't. It's been a while since I've read him.
I guess that's not a question we can answer here.
No, I guess not. maybe for another episode.
Yelling.
Another episode.
Another episode.
To tie in with all of our turtle stuff. Yeah.
I'll read the original set, and you can reread them, and then we'll compare notes.
Yes.
Yeah, that sounds like a plan.
Yeah.
But yeah, you were talking about the pizza that they slid down the grate. Did you notice what brand of pizza that was?
It was Domino's.
It was Domino's. Now, when we were kids, where were all the merchandise at?
Pizza Hut.
Pizza Hut.
Yes.
How did they not get Pizza Hut in on the movie?
I don't know how they didn't.
Or
do
did
that.
Domino's not want to do the merch? I'm wondering what happened there.
I never.
But Pizza
thought
Hut, I
about
think, was
that.
in the second movie, right? Like they kept
I think
Pizza
that's
Hut.
right. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a Domino's pizza. Now you think
was
Turtles, you
Domino's.
think Pizza Hut, but it was a Domino's pizza.
Yeah, I don't know why they did that.
They had Burger King, pretty big product placement in the beginning,
Yep.
and you had your Domino's there. I think I saw some Pepsi, big product placement with Pepsi.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really see much else though. Which,
No.
they weren't beating you over the head with it, but in the beginning, it was definitely like there was like it was like a 30-second Burger King ad, and then there was the Domino's pizza ad, definitely, that they had in there. But other than that, it didn't. They didn't beat us over the head with product placement. Yeah. But so
it wasn't a Wayne's World situation. So.
Yeah, that's what I always think of whenever I think of that product placement. Stuff, is that Wayne's World scene?
Yes.
So who was your favorite turtle growing up, and then who's your favorite turtle now? Michelangelo.
Now, I'd say, you know what, it's
not all time.
it.
In this movie, which one was your favorite?
Oh, now? In this movie, yeah. Well, okay, so rewatching it, probably Leonardo, I think, because he really is. I kind of felt like he's more trying to keep everybody together. They've lost Splinter. Like, I'll tell you, the one that just annoyed the crap out of me was Raphael.
Yeah,
I'm just like,
he's just burning, angry.
Yes, all the time.
Just like, dude, get over yourself.
And I know that's the character. Like,
that's the character,
he's the brutish.
He's
one.
rude.
Yeah, but it's just, oh my gosh, I'm like, just give it a rest.
Go sit in the corner, Raph, have a drink, chill out.
Yeah. So who resonated with you?
Oh, for me, growing up, Leo was always my turtle. Like cartoons, movies, it was always Leo, and I think I resonated with him, being the older brother, always being kind of the oldest in like cousins and stuff like that. I always felt like the leader, the one that is kind of like wanting to direct everybody and direct the play, if you will, as far as like what we were doing. But watching it again, Donatello, I felt like I enjoyed the most, especially that scene with him and Casey Jones working on that truck, and they're just bantering back and forth. That was great. Yeah, just like that solidified it for me. He was my favorite.
And Casey
But then
Jones, man, like Casey Jones is so cool in this movie. I forgot
he
how
is.
cool he is.
Yeah.
I love his interactions with April. Like he's just trying to mac on April this whole
The whole
time.
time.
Yes, yes.
He's the only one to
Finally
come out of
gets
the
her.
movie and have a career too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. 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 Oh man. Yeah. And then he straight up. This is not a spoiler-free podcast, so whatever.
If you haven't seen it by now.
Yeah. Straight up murders
Shredder.
at the end of this
I
movie.
had that in my notes. Casey the killer. How do we feel about it? Are we okay with this? He kills the bad guy?
Oops.
I mean, just get the crusher and just crushes
just
Shredder.
crushes him.
Which
like, what? Who is this guy?
he was okay with it, but we learned didn't actually like he survived somehow. I don't know how he survived, but he survived.
Yeah.
Which I watched this movie and I saw that part and I thought, okay, I'm going to continue watching. I'm going to watch the credits because I want to say they had an end credit scene where Shredder's hand comes up out of the garbage. And I was like, oh, that was probably like one of the original ones. I want to watch that. I watched through all the credits. It didn't happen. I remember that happening, but it did not happen. Am I wrong? Do you remember that?
I want to say, I think that's in a scene from Secret of the Ooze.
Oh, is that what I'm thinking?
I
Because
think.
I always watched them back to back, so that might be.
Yeah.
I might be
I'm
conflating
thinking
the two
it
there.
is. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure on that because I need to go. Like I said earlier, it's been years since I watched these, but yeah, I'm like you. I would watch them back to back, and actually, I think Ooze was probably my favorite of the two. Just because it had Vanilla Ice in it, I think at the time. Yeah. But I do remember that scene, and I want to say it was probably from.
I think it was the
Secret
beginning of 2. I think it was the beginning of 2, but my mind remembers it as the end of the movie.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's probably because it's got that New York backdrop. It's got the same, I mean, it's a sequel. It feels the same.
Yeah, yeah.
So I don't know. You remember these? I'm gonna change the trajectory a second here.
Sure.
But growing up, this was like the Ninja Turtles were the first thing that I really learned how to draw. Like I just remember drawing the Ninja Turtles like over and over and over and over again. And they were so easy to draw. They're just like bubbly and round, and you got this round shell and these round muscles, and they got this round head. They didn't have a single right angle on them anywhere. I mean, other than the bandana, which that actually kind of taught me how to draw ribbons and stuff.
Sure.
You were going through those old sketches of yours. Was there one in there as a Ninja Turtle?
I didn't see any, but I do remember drawing them. I just must not have kept any of them.
Kept that particular one. I thought we saw.
But I remember drawing their belts and learning how to. I say learning, I was 8 years old drawing these things, but you've got the creases from like where the belt moves over different parts of their shells and stuff like that. And I remember doing that, and I remember drawing like the circle with the M because I would draw Mikey a lot. They had their initial on their belts. Now I can't remember. Yeah. That wasn't in the movie. That had to have been a specific cartoon.
Those cartoons, yeah.
But yeah,
it's
you're
funny
right.
You mentioned the belt. I remember. Yeah, the lines on the belt. I remember the bandana. That was what I always focused on, and it was the lines that gave that look of it being kind of padded. That bandana on their head, and then you have that little knot, and you got that little ribbon that flows out to the side. That was always my favorite part to draw because that detail. Yeah. And then their eyes were just really simple. Just you keep them white, and they were very clean. Yeah, definitely. That was the first thing. One of the first things I learned how to draw, and probably the thing I drew the most growing up was Ninja Turtles until I discovered, Marvel Comics and went off into all that. But
yeah. So I didn't do as much of. I may be getting ahead of your notes here, so but I like to just think of this as an organic thing. I remember more because like you were saying, Bruce has got the toys, like Harper has got a bunch of the toys, and I remember that was my big thing, was having the toys, and I would watch the movie, and I may watch this, first it's like whatever. My Saturday I would watch those movies, and then I would go to my bedroom, and I had all the toys. and I'd play through those movies with the toys.
Yeah.
So it was just like, I just
You
continued
reenact
it.
it, yeah.
Oh yeah, just over and over again. And all the time.
You learn those back. You learn those scenes back to front, and you can be playing with them out. You don't even have to have the movie going.
No.
I remember the dialogue just going in my head over and over again.
Yep.
And it was the same way with going back again to drawing them. I draw them over and over again, watching the cartoon to the point where I could just draw them from memory. It was like one of the first. It was definitely the first thing I ever knew how to draw, just without looking at a reference of any kind. But yeah, playing with them over and over again. I remember one of my, I guess, I don't know if you call it a core memory or a key memory. I remember, though, as kids, going over and visiting you, and whenever you and your mom were living in that apartment on the end of town, and you had a bunch of the Ninja Turtles that were, I think they were doing like Olympic-themed Ninja Turtles that year, because the Olympics were going on. And so I think you had one that you winded up and its little legs kicked and it swam in the pool.
I remember
and then Donnie
that one.
lifted weights. Yes. Those were awesome.
Yeah. I remember those. And then the, I had the, you remember the van?
Yes.
So like so in the movie, they have that van. It's just, it's April's van, which if I remember right, in the show or whatever, it was her van and they used it. But
the outfit.
I had the van. And the door would open up sideways. Yeah. And your turtle would sit in there. And I seem to remember there being like a pizza shooter.
Yeah.
Like, and
I think we both had the van.
Discs. Yeah.
I don't, how we never ran those together. I don't know.
I don't know.
I remember having the van too. I must have left that one back at my mom's or something.
Yeah.
So, what was your favorite scene in the movie growing up, and then what was your favorite scene rewatching the movie now?
Growing up was when Splinter knocked Shredder off of the building and he fell down into the dumpster.
A good one.
Just watching it in slow-mo. And, now I watch it as an adult and I'm like, gosh, that's a long fall. He's just, but I don't know. I thought that was so cool. And then, I thought Splinter was so cool for like, he didn't do anything. Like it was Shredder that did it to himself, Yeah. So yeah, that was my favorite scene as a kid. As an adult, I really think it was the one you were talking about earlier with Donnie.
Casey Jones crushing him in the trash can.
Oh yeah. No, when Donnie and Casey are working on that car, I loved that. Yeah, I don't know why I didn't really remember that scene. I guess because that does hit a little different, I think, as you're older. Yeah.
That's funny because that was my favorite scene too. Now watching it again, growing as an adult, that whole farmhouse thing was just probably my favorite collection of scenes, or just that whole arc on the farmhouse. I really love that. Like Donnie Raph recovering in the bathtub, and Leo looking over him the whole time, not leaving his side. Donnie working on like tech stuff to get them back into town. And what was Mikey doing the whole time? Oh, Mikey was cooking. He was keeping everybody fed. That's what
Well, he's doing what he does best. He's
doing what he does best.
Yeah,
which is funny because like. They whenever you look at the turtles in the movie, like you look at the turtles in the show, Raph is kind of easily, or in the cartoon, he's a little more muscular, and Mikey's a little shorter, a little stockier. Donnie's a little tall and thin, and then Leo's just kind of like a good average of all of them. But then I was watching the movie, and I thought it was funny that Raph was kind of large. He was kind of like he was a chunky one in the movie.
Yeah.
And then everybody else was just kind of like a little thinner, but they kind of made Raph look a little chunky in the movie. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
So they put Raph in the tub and they fill it with water, and he just heals. Like what? How does that work? I
guess is this here? Like what's going on here? I thought it was so strange too. Yeah,
I never thought about it growing up, but I look at it now and I'm like, I don't understand how this works. Is he just
it just a bunch of Epsom salt that they're putting in there? Like,
is this how you heal turtles? You just soak them in water?
Yeah. I don't know.
But my favorite one growing up,
the artwork that April was doing was pretty cool to look at too. Again, and seeing that. So
You think they were
And,
using like Eastman and Laird's original drawings, or had them come in and consult?
I'm curious. I don't know. I did notice. Gosh, what did they call the island? Lairdman. It was some point in the movie they said Lairdman Island or something like that.
Oh, did they?
Like
I missed
they
that.
had combined their names to make some fictional place in the movie. They'd mentioned it. I think they were talking about some island or something.
Huh.
But yeah, that's
stuck
out to me. Yeah.
I must.
It was just kind of a throwaway line in the movie.
Yeah.
But
I was listening for things like that. I just didn't hear it. No.
Yeah.
Yeah. So okay, my favorite one growing up though, or as a kid though, was the scene where they're in the antique store and they're fighting all the Foot Clan.
Oh yeah.
And they just keep pouring in like foot after foot. If you've got they're fighting the Foot Clan. If there are dozens of them, do we call them the Feet Clan or are they still the Foot Clan? That's a joke for your daughter.
Yeah, yes, exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, like they just keep pouring in and they're taking them out, and then eventually they just get overrun and they got to take the back alley exit because it's burning down. And there's the fire, and that was my favorite scene growing up for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I love seeing that, and just how the fire is just like everything's collapsing, just exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, it was a good exit from the city. So did this movie hold up? Watching it again as an adult, does it hold up to you as a good movie?
I think it does. I mean, there's
some campiness in there, but
yeah, there was some campiness, a little cheesiness in a couple spots, but I thought as a whole, like, you're not watching this to, they're not trying to win an Oscar with this movie.
No, we're not expected to believe these turtles became giant people.
Yeah.
This is possible.
You're watching this to be entertained, and you want to come in, you want to have a good time, and I think it holds up great. My 7-year-old liked it. So what's that tell you?
I would agree. I think yes, it holds up, and I think it's because this is what a comic book movie should be. And I think that this is what all other comic book movies through the 90s were trying to do, but they were trying to do it more like 3 and 2, and they were focusing on the goofy silliness of it, and they didn't keep it grounded and true like this movie did. I mean, we talked about how realistic the streets in New York looked in this movie, and how it wasn't afraid to be a little weird and kind of get their hands dirty, if you will, with that weirdness. But at the same time, they didn't beat us over the head with like, where did this ooze come from? What does it do? What is it made of? What is the molecular structure of it? And who designed it? And why did they do it? And is it space aliens? And where did they come from? And just digging into all this minutia that doesn't really matter. It's an ooze. It just makes some mutagen. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all you need to know.
Yeah.
You don't need to dive into all the science of it. I feel like movies now, they get into all that. They dive way too deep, and they don't just let the audience enjoy what's happening.
They do.
And you have to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you just sometimes, like you're saying, there's a lot of movies now. It's just like, just get to the point, Yeah. Like, I don't need to know.
I've bought in.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
They were Mutant Ninja Turtles on the poster. I bought that premise. We're here now. Let's go.
That's what I'm here for. Where are the turtles at? Are they mutants? Yes. That's what I want to. That's what I'm here to see. I did really get a kick out of the Foot Clan, pretty much just being a bunch of teenage boys, and
just lawless.
Yes, but I thought it was so silly. They're like stealing all these, VCRs and TVs and stuff like that. I'm like, were they reselling them? Like what? And they never explained that.
The plan here?
It doesn't make any difference, No. But I'm like, Shredder's really not that bad of a dude as far as, not his character, but just him being like, I'm some.
He's not a great criminal mastermind if they're just ripping off VCRs from old ladies.
You got
and
high
stuff.
schooler kids that are trying to. You're trying to like turn into an army here. Like you're really scraping the bottom of the barrel.
He should have had some of them trying to knock over an armored truck or something at least, like rob a bank, something. But I guess, first movie, we got to keep the stakes low and grounded and real. But again, that's not something that we need to get into the nitty gritty of.
No, it didn't matter. It was just, this is what it is. Here's the story. Enjoy it.
Here's the story. Enjoy.
That's how it was. Like when you're a kid watching that, like you don't care about all that stuff. No. You don't think about the stuff we think about now. Yeah. Okay. I want to see I just want to see some turtles kicking butt. That's what I want to see.
Right.
And
that's all I need.
What I got. So.
Now this movie didn't have much of a soundtrack to it. There was, usually you have like a lot of hits in these movies, but Harvest Studios, they're smaller. They probably couldn't afford a lot. So they didn't have throughout the movie, there wasn't a bunch of like recognizable songs, but I will say that TURTLE power song at the end, that was in my head all week long.
Was it really?
Yes.
I don't think it resonated with me the way it did with you. And that's okay.
It earwormed me pretty something fierce. It had me going for sure. It reminded me of a lot of the other songs from that same era, and especially like I think it's the second Ghostbusters movie. There's that song by is it Bobby Brown?
Yeah. Your love is lifting me higher. Is that what you're talking about?
No, not that one.
No,
it's
okay.
Oh God, I can't remember it now. But it just like the two of them were like battling out in my brain all week.
Okay.
I guess TR whatever Turtle Power won it out in my head, and that's the one that's stuck for now. But they don't do that anymore either. Like you don't like every movie back then they had like a theme song written just for the movie. Like you were talking about Vanilla Ice in the second one. You had the Vanilla, was it the Turtle Rap was the big song. They did like a whole stage production off of that song. They toured the world for that song. It's crazy. But they don't do that anymore. Like you got Ghostbusters, they had songs written for it. Every I think Beverly Hills Cop, even like the song was written for that. Like all movies back then had like a theme song written just for them, lyrics and everything.
Well, they would do that. Like look at TV shows; they would do that with television too. They had all these theme songs. True, You just don't. I mean, you may have a handful nowadays that do that, but there's really not.
They'll just pull some indie rock song.
Yeah,
if that.
Or they just have some instrumental thing and they throw a 15-second logo on there, and now you're into the show. Yeah.
I
feel like there's something lost in that. Like there was an art to coming up with a song too, because you would have to like watch through that whole movie or at least read the script to know, okay, this is what's going on. I got to write a song that's going to summarize this entire movie in 3 minutes.
Well, I think the person that wrote Turtle Power, he was just told turtles that are ninjas. And said, all right, they're powerful. Turtle Power. We're just going to repeat that over and over again. And I'm going to spell out turtle.
Yeah.
It's a good spelling lesson for all you kids out there. Just listen to the end of Ninja Turtles. You'll learn how to spell turtle. I don't know how many songs I learned how to spell in my life based off of, or how many words in my life I learned how to spell based off of a song. Like RESPECT and Turtle Power, and I can't think of any more off the top of my head right now. But I know there were a lot. Every time a very specific word comes up, I'll think to myself, and there'll be a song associated with it. And I'll remember how to spell it based off of a song more than the rules of English, and as far as like how you're supposed to spell a word.
That's a learning thing, though. There are people that I'm one of those people. They learn, with music. It helps you. It does help you memorize things easier.
Maybe next time I got to research, I'll just put on some background music and
there you go.
Zone out. That might help me out.
Yeah.
Well, that's about my thoughts on Ninja Turtles. You got any additional thoughts you want to share on your experience rewatching it?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like I said, it definitely was a different experience watching it as an adult,
for sure,
than it was as a kid. But it was it was fun to kind of see my daughter have that magic as she's watching it, so she's seeing it like I saw it when I first watched it
through those eyes.
Like I said, I think that's just why it holds up so well, because you can still watch it. A kid nowadays can still watch it, 33 years later.
Yeah.
And
still enjoy it.
Still be captivated by it. And then we can watch it as adults and find new things. And like you were talking about with, I know we keep going back to that scene, but with, with
truck,
Casey and Donnie
bonding.
And I think that, we keep going back to that scene because it resonated with both of us. Like, it's almost like a father and son moment, even though, Splinter's their dad or whatever, but they're teenagers.
We find father figures all throughout our life.
Yeah.
Do you think that's why you resonate with Leo now more, because you are a father? So you see that leadership role, and that resonates with you more? Sure.
And when I was younger, and Mikey's he's fun, and he's just doing whatever he wants to do and eating a lot of pizza. And I guess I still like the pizza thing. So.
Yeah. Who doesn't?
But I don't know. I think, it's a good solid movie. And I'm glad we went back to it.
Yeah, me too. Now, enjoy, watching these movies through your daughter's eyes, because I had my son in there, Bruce, with me, and, he's 12 going on 30 now, and he's sitting in there with me watching this movie, and we get about a half hour into it, and he looks at his phone, and he goes, "Oh, I'm getting a phone call from my friend. I'll be right back," and he leaves.
Oh, no.
And he never came back through the whole movie.
No.
So I got left behind for the best friend. We're at that age, but that's all right. We got to watch a little bit of it. He said he's gonna come back and watch some of these other ones with me.
Yeah, good.
Yeah. All right. So that's Turtles. I think that's a wrap on Turtles. Well,
that's Turtles.
When we do part 2, that'll be a turtle wrap. This is Turtle Power.
Yes, exactly. So So I guess next episode we'll be chatting with you about Legend of Zelda.
You can go back and play it a little bit. I'll pause it. I'll posit you a challenge. All right, here's the challenge, and I'm gonna do this myself. Set a timer, start a fresh game, and see how far you can get in 15 minutes. Let me know how many pieces. What's the metric? How are we gonna measure this? Like how many pieces of Triforce you can get, or how many?
I don't think you can do
items
that.
You can collect.
I don't think you can get past the first dungeon in that
first one in 15 minutes. Oh.
You think you can get past the first dungeon in 15 minutes?
Let's see who can get. Let's see who can get the furthest in 15 minutes.
Let's see. Let's see who can beat the first dungeon the quickest. Time yourself.
Okay, there you go. I like that.
Getting through the first dungeon.
No pauses or rewinds. Like just playing it straight.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
All right. Well, honor system, but I'll
honor system. I trust you.
All right. Well, we'll do that next week.
Okay.
And then anybody who's listening can enjoy it next week.
Yeah.